Probably just about fair. This is what Jurgen Klopp had to say after the game. Last year we had a team that played long together and we got completely under the wheels here in that 4-1 defeat and had no chance. Today we had a chance. I'm not silly. If you ask who was more likely to win the game, it was City, obviously. We want to be ready to give them a proper game, and that is what we did. For more on this, Frank Leboeuf joins us. Sorry, Craig, this wasn't quite the barnstormer we were expecting, was it?
Don't mention the early kick-off.
But that had to have a part, didn't it, to play?
No. Look, let's put this to bed.
But Stevie will tell you that...
all the things that we spoke about leading up to this game were staring you straight in the face.
So you're saying if this game was 2.5 hours
the early
late, it's going to be a great game?
The early kick-off and the back after the international break.
I think we just...
The two things together, absolutely, was staring you in the face. Come on.
No, I think it was too... I think Liverpool were just... I think they played a much smarter game going to City than they did before.
Right.
They didn't try and go and just press the life out of them and get played round. For a lot of the game, they kept... Look, and City got through them a few times. Of course, they'll get through most teams. But I thought Liverpool kept a better shape, you know, in front of that back four for the most, and just said, you know what, we're not going to get ragged. We're going to take our chances, win the ball back, and hitting City on the counter attack. Look, I really don't keep. I'm getting fed up now with this 12:30. Right, seriously. I mean, the Bundesliga was a joke because they made the players play Cologne against Bayern Munich on a Friday.
Yeah.
I've got an issue with that, right, on a Friday after an international. But this was just. I think we've seen Man City are not quite hitting the straps. They weren't great at Chelsea, certainly defensively. And Liverpool are a much better outfit and less ragged than they were last year. Now, it wasn't a great game, but look, are we saying if we played this game at 10 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock UK time, this was going to be a barnstormer? I just don't think so.
Well, it certainly wasn't a barnstormer.
No. I
mean, at half-time, I'd have taken a point. Listen, you can say Nunes had a header save from Edison, but, I mean, yes, the way they set out to play was smart because they really didn't give City too much. But on the break, they were terrible. I mean, they couldn't keep a hold of the ball. Nunes couldn't stay onside, and they couldn't keep a hold of the ball. And so at half-time, I would have taken a point off your hands. Now, by the end of the game, I think a point apiece was the right result. But considering how gassed City were, I mean, Liverpool made 5 subs in the second half, and you could see the difference in the legs towards the end of the game, who was going to go forward and win this game. And I don't understand why Pep doesn't make changes.
We didn't really have his bench. That was probably the weakest City bench I've seen.
He's got Gvardiol.
Oscar Bob. But it's not...
I mean, they were gassed. Listen, as brilliant as Silva was in the first half, he disappeared in the second half. He was completely gassed.
That was it. It was tiredness more than anything.
I think so. So I don't get how he doesn't freshen it up. And I think at the end of the game, he's probably glad for the point. I'm sure at half-time he wouldn't have been saying that. Because there's no question who the better team was in the first half. And coming into the second half, I'm thinking, how's Liverpool going to get the ball? Because they couldn't get close to anybody. And, of course, the second half, both sides couldn't get close to each other again. And Liverpool weren't that much better on the break. You know, when it came to the final pass, the final decision, they always picked either the wrong one or it was a poor pass. So it was a poor game, but I guess in the end, a point's a good result for Liverpool.
Good for Liverpool. One could say, yes, in terms of the way we started the game. One could say also no, because of how the game ended, because Man City just ran out of energy in that game. They were trying to see this game off. If you had seen it, Man City were just trying to see the game off. They didn't want to play the game over. But also, we can say the same thing to Liverpool because you could see that there were so many tired players and tired legs in that game. Pep Guardiola did not make any changes, by the way. By the way, anyway, guys, hello, welcome back to the Football Connect. I'm your host, Sam, and there's the reaction show, as we'll be reacting what people said about the game which was played on Saturday, 12:30, Liverpool versus Man City. We're just gonna do my thoughts on that, then see what happens. I said it before the game that if this game was played at least some hours later, it could have been a different game. Even if it was played on a Super Sunday, could have been a different game than what we saw on this game, because in the first half, City came like a house on fire, and they did as much as they could. They tried to cause problems. They tried to do as much as they can, but you could see that in the second half, they disappeared in the game, like what Nicol is saying. But also the effects of the game being played at 12:30, a big game like this, everything, we could see the problem in the game. We could see why this game, it was the wrong time it was played at, because we were not able to see the full potential of this team, as well as even the crowd. The Man City crowd could not just get into this game, because early in the game you just want to wait up and wait, especially for a big game like this. Hence why Pep Guardiola was complaining in the end. I even talked about this. You can check it out on my thoughts on the game. I did it when I was talking about how the game came to an end. But it's all exactly about what the ESPN guys are saying, because as much as Craig doesn't want to talk about the 12:30, it had everything in this game. Like I'm telling you, how many South American players who were in this game from Liverpool, who you could see that they were tired in this game? We're talking of Alisson. You saw how many mistakes and errors he made. We are also talking about Darwin Núñez. Liverpool could not hold the ball. He could not hold the ball again, like what Nicol was saying. Salah could not move with the ball. We also saw the other guy. Who was it? Jota could not actually get into the game. That is to say something. Salah, I think Pep Guardiola prepared for him when Nathan Ake got fit. I think his whole project for the past 2 weeks was to prepare for Salah, and it was evident while we were watching the game. Akanji had to be polished up on the position he was playing, so that could have helped as well. So there is a lot of things that we can talk about, but this game, the timing of it, the way it was played, I felt like it was very, very wrong, and it is why we could not see a masterclass of a game that we were expecting. Let me hear what Craig is about to say as we continue, but yeah, that's what
Liverpool.
Thought, to shout out our old mate Robbie Mustoe at NBC used a good, I think the word they used for City in the first half was they were just a lot more polished,
right,
in possession, and they were. And Stevie's right, Liverpool, it was just hear him, scare him on the ball going forward, and that definitely improved. But I'm just looking at City at the moment. If you look at their Premier League record, they hardly ever now keep a clean sheet. I mean, I think they kept one against Man United. I think the other one was Newcastle early in the season, and maybe Burnley. So they don't, and this was borne out in that Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge. They were so ragged. And again, as this game went on today, they set, and I think that was one of the reasons he made the change at left back, because we've talked about Guardiola on here. He's a good player, he's a good centre-back, but he's pretty average full-back. And he was obviously worried about that position, and Ake came in and did a pretty good job for the most, but they're not keeping... And yeah, Haaland's getting these goals, right? 50 goals now and however many appearances, which is a record, which is an amazing start, breaking a record of, I think it's...
Andy Cole
of almost 30 years, or whatever it is. So that's great, but at the other end, you're going to give you chances. I tell you one thing with Liverpool, Stevie. I don't know about you, but Alisson gives me the... If I was a Liverpool...
What's up with him?
He's giving me the heebie-jeebies with the ball at his feet.
He looks as though he had ice skates or slippers or something on
We
today.
didn't actually show in the highlight the goal, obviously, that was chalked off.
Yep.
That would have made it 2-0. Where did you stand on that?
Well, it's the initial mistake is his, no question, because everybody, his body language tells you he's pinging this thing 70, 80 yards, right? And as a defender and as a midfielder, I'm off. I'm on my bike.
No,
I'm talking
about the disallowed goal in the second half.
Oh, you're talking about the
arm one?
Yeah, the Ruben Diaz one.
Here's the thing. There's no question that Alisson got away with it. Right? But the truth is, if you put your arm on the goalkeeper,
it gives you
around the shoulder, stroke arm,
yeah,
it's an easy decision for the referee. Because if he goes the other way, then it's the toys are out the pram and all kinds are coming at you. So that's an easy decision. But with his feet today in particular, it was horrendous. I mean,
but it's not just today, is it?
Is that because it's a 12:30 kickoff?
He come out faster.
That's it.
I don't know whether he's got the wrong footwear on because he doesn't look comfortable.
He ain't got slippers on,
look
has he?
comfortable.
He's got his ice skates. Oh, for the ice skates on again.
No. But it could be simple as it could be something as simple as instead of wearing rubbers, you wear proper studs.
Right.
Because he doesn't look good on his feet. He looks as though he's off balance all the time. And the very first one he made a mess of. I mean, you talk about not getting your feet right to try and play a ball that ended up going to Foden, and Foden just made the wrong decision and tried to put it past him with pace, and it went straight to him. But I thought every time it went to him with his feet, I was panicking.
There are a few things that these guys talked about, which I'm just gonna go a little bit fast and just give you my thoughts on it. The first thing when we talk about Manchester City not able to keep a clean sheet, I actually feel like if this game was played with all the teams 100% strong, City were going to suffocate. Because the reason why, if Liverpool were just a little bit good at that turnover whenever they received the ball, this game would have been a different game. 100% would have been a different game, because I do feel like what we are talking about, Manchester City can't, I have no idea why, but they just cannot keep a clean sheet. And one of the things that helped, I think, was to bring back Nathan Ake early from injury, because I felt like he knew how to deal with Salah. I felt like Gvardiol would have suffocated with him. As much as he's playing at that position, I think he feels like he's been left alone in that number 3 position. He's just a raw defender, like what Nicol is saying. It might be harsh to hear, but that's true. The gas that so many people were giving him, it's only maybe he can show that when he's playing at his actual position. But when you expect him to give you something more in the game, I feel like he's really, really suffocating. And that's why these guys got away with that part, that Aki miraculously got fitter before the game, and maybe because he had more time to actually prepare on how to stop Salah than any other player, because he did not go for international break. Also, we can talk more about whatever that was happening in this game, but Liverpool, they were affected morely also because of the players who came late from the international break, the South American players, Alisson being one of them. And as much as Craig doesn't want to hear it, when you come so late from an international break, playing at 12:30, it's never ideal for you. It's never ideal. You are already jet lagged. McAllister talked about it, that yesterday when he was trying to receive information of how the game was going to be played from Klopp in a meeting, he was falling asleep. And I don't think he was the only one who was there, because they were coming up from that crazy game that they played of Argentina versus Brazil. Trust me, that game was demanding in terms of the physically, everything that was happening, even for a goalkeeper. And all of those things, we saw them all in this game. It was all written. Alisson was not comfortable at the pitch with his feet, and whatever that happens. People keep talking about the second goal that was scored by Man City. It was rightfully disallowed. One thing that the world has to understand, whatever you're going to say about it, I don't really care. Maybe you're going to say I'm biased because I'm wearing a red shirt. Yes, maybe I am biased, but whether you are playing hockey or whatever, or whatever you're playing, if that spot the goalkeeper uses his hands to hold the ball, to control the ball, to stop the ball from getting at the back of the net, if he uses his hands, if you are a player or what, and you use your own hands to hold the arms that the goalkeeper uses as weapons to stop the ball from going into the net, whether you like it or not, that is going to be chopped off. The reason why it's chopped off, because if you was holding the feet, imagine you are playing with the player, then you go hold the feet. What happens? It's a free kick against the other player. This guy, when he was jumping, he held Alisson's arm. He was holding him by the shoulder, and the guy is trying to hold the ball up to the net. So that led to him losing the ball he was trying to hold. So whether they like it or not, that goal had to be chopped off, because it was not a goal. Somebody was being stupid. You forgot what goalkeepers use when you're trying to stop them from actually getting to the ball. And that is something has to be that Akanji has to learn from. Anyway, let's move on, because there are other things that they need to talk about as well.
Listening patiently is Frank Leboeuf. Frank, overall impression of what you saw in the game?
Well, I think for me the draw is fair. Even if I agree with the guy, the position of the ball, especially the first half, was more in benefit of Manchester City. But I found very interesting that game in terms of how the two teams dealt defensively, and especially Liverpool, you know, and we knew that with Doku and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they would have to resolve a big issue because Trent doesn't really know how to defend. And the involvement of all players, Salah, Szoboszlai, to help Trent Alexander-Arnold out against Doku was absolutely exceptional. I think, especially the first half, where they forced Doku to go, and he only succeeded once to be able to cross. But that was very interesting. Yes, it wasn't the best game ever, but I found, coming from Klopp and Pep, interesting to see how they dealt, both of them, with some aspects of the game. Yeah, Liverpool was dominated the first half, but Nunez had a very good chance, and Ederson had a very good save. I have to say, I have to disagree with the guys in the way that I enjoyed that game. Yeah, it wasn't the perfect game, and maybe the game we were expecting. And maybe the early time, or maybe the players traveling were the reason why it wasn't at the top of the top. But that was very interesting. And don't forget that City could have scored second goal just before Liverpool equalized as well. So it could have gone different ways. We saw mistakes, but football is made of mistakes. It's made of details. And I found the game. Well, we're going to talk about Arsenal after. Very, very interesting comparing to that game.
I did not enjoy it. I just think we kind of were lining ourselves up for some sort of 5 or 6 goal thriller, which never quite materialised, which maybe tells you, obviously, Liverpool have moved a lot closer than they were last year, which is a good thing, obviously, for the league and the competition. But one of the other things with Man City, talking about that side, and we talked about it on, I think, Thursday when we were on, the potential hazard for Alexander-Arnold, and we saw Matip getting a one-on-one with Jeremy Doku, and he sat him on his backside. He just didn't do it enough. And Frank's right, they got a few players over to help him. But there is two sides to that story. And Doku, in one of the games recently, it might have been Burnley at home, or I can't remember who it was, where he scored a couple of assists.
I think it was Bournemouth. Was it
Bournemouth? Yeah, he was involved in everything, and it was like his ball. And he almost felt like he took that onto this field today in the biggest game in England today. And he was trying to do, and I was saying to you, I think at times he was trying to do too much. You know, taking too many touches. There was an early pass on, but he's trying a step over of a drop of the shoulder. And I think that's something that he'll learn as he goes along, that you know, these things are great when you're beating a defender, but if there's a better ball on, an earlier ball, a quicker ball to get on the other side of a midfielder or a back line, then you've got to play it. And today, he just seemed to want to beat everybody. And that end product, I think that was something that, I'm not going to say Liverpool played him well, but he was pretty poor in his decision making in the final
They
third.
defended well, Liverpool. They defended well. When they had to get a challenge in, or they had to make a clearance, or they had to get a head on it, they did that. Or if when Doku comes inside, that's what you should be doing, to where all the numbers are. They got numbers there. So from a defensive point of view, I thought Liverpool did well. I just think the bottom line is both sides going forward, and that's kind of where I thought we were going to get goals from, because both sides at the best going forward are dynamite. But neither forward line could get going today.
How good was that finish from Alexander-Arnold?
That's fantastic. Fantastic. You know, the first touch, and then to understand, as Craig said on the highlight, to understand that he couldn't take another touch. You know, he had to shoot, but what he did was he got his feet in the right place, picked his spot, hammered it low before the goalkeeper get a chance to get set. So, yeah, that's fantastic. But as always with Alexander-Arnold, he's in the middle of everything. He scores the goal, but he could have prevented the first goal. But then that's what you get with him.
Right.
Isn't it just the time we're in now that we've actually incorporated in this discussion how Alisson looks wobbly with the ball at his feet, when actually, which is true, but we haven't even mentioned the fact that the save he made from Foden, the low strike that was, I mean, it was in the first, was it? Yeah, first half. First half.
In the post.
It was heading low, hard, and right into the corner, and he got down and got that big paw on it. An unbelievable save. But these things are not important now, are they?
This becomes very, very interesting when you hear what Frank Leboeuf is talking about, that he really enjoyed this game as from watching from a point of not being a fan, just being somebody who's a football fan who's watching the game. He saw that these were two juggernauts who were pushing themselves to the limit, trying to get something and maybe coming up with a victory at the very end, which never really materialized. But if we had continued playing the game, I knew for a fact that Liverpool would have gotten something, because City just wanted the game to come to an end. And that's a fact. Jeremy Doku and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, that was an interesting, it was an interesting fight. The way these guys went in and the way the game was played. They tried to cause problems, but they just could not. He just could not. I felt like Jeremy Doku was too gassed to a point that I think he went into this game trying to prove something. Frank is saying that he wanted to show what Craig is saying that he wanted to show what he did to Bournemouth, and he was hoping that could be the thing that happens. I was really excited, and Frank really talked about this. The fact that players like Mohamed Salah, Dominic Szoboszlai were coming in to help out Trent Alexander-Arnold, because they wanted to make sure that this guy doesn't do anything. So his two options, which were what we expected. Jeremy Doku is dangerous when he passes through you and goes straight with you, because at that position, it's difficult for anyone to make a crazy tackle. It's a penalty because he's already in the 18 area, or whatever he does. So what these guys were doing, and I felt like it was very, very intelligent, was to make sure that they protect that position. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, as much as people might not really do this, you have to give him really so much respect in terms of how he was managing Doku. He made sure that if he was going to try to get in, he took the long route. And when you're taking the long route, it means you go straight with the line of the 18 area, trying to corner in, and in most of the moments, either he loses the ball going out, or maybe he tries to kick, and it's already something that Van Dijk, Alisson already set out, either to clear even Matip, or even to hold on to the ball. That was done so well. Or maybe when he tries to do his position, he doesn't pass through where Trent is at, but push him inside, but not in the 18 area, but inside, like coming back in, where you could see that Szoboszlai, McAllister, and sometimes Curtis Jones were set up in that one with just behind them a defensive line, which meant that either he tries to shoot or pass it elsewhere, and they have to go again and try to renew the bomb, which was very, very, very important, because as much as he is lethal, as much as he's dangerous, he's not afraid to take on players one-on-one. He became kind of like useless his chances, his touches, his clearance, his creation became anonymous. So I felt like they dealt with them so perfectly well. And as much people are calling on to Alisson, as much as they say that he did not do well, he did not do perfectly well, Craig just mentioned that he stopped a goal from Phil Foden, which was going into the back of the net. And that was a crazy one. So as much as we can say he had a terrible game, he also had an amazing game because he kept on stopping this team. And I'm even still confused that after all we talked about, nobody's talking about how Phil Foden was in non-existence. We did not see him in the game. The reason why we did not see him, I think Konstantino Tsimikas dealt well with him and stopped him from being lethal. So these are the days where we are in where they're just trying to look at what Liverpool made wrong, but not talk about how City disappeared as well. And one of their, young stars could not even do anything. So it's very important to give, that balance and give us all the sides of the story. But it was a good game in the very end. We saw two teams trying to battle it out, trying to come up with a victory, but somehow the victory never came. But it was a good game to watch. I really enjoyed that game. I really enjoyed that game, and I can't wait to see where these teams go forward next. So do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the Connect. Let me know, do you agree with my assessment over the game? Where do Man City needs to improve because they are allowing teams to score them at will, as well as where do Liverpool needs to improve rather than maybe the exhaustion that they had the whole team. Anyway, click the like button, subscribe to the Connect. I'll be back again with another reaction, maybe later today or tomorrow morning. Just expect something. I'm out. Peace.